Okay, so we're looking at the D box now. Okay, so we've got 6 strings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we need one more. 6 like that. So that's the fret nut. Okay, and then we're not going to be looking at this. We're not going to be looking at this. This is our 6-string P4 pattern, but guess what? Guitar isn't all P4. For instance, the cello is and the violin are P4. The bass guitar, I think a lot of them are P4 tuning. If they only have 4 strings, they're going to be P4. The P4 doesn't stand for 4 strings. It stands for a perfect fourth in between each string, and that perfect fourth is a scalular fourth. So there's a perfect fourth, there's a perfect fourth, there's a perfect fourth. Okay, something like that. All right, they are in perfect fourths like that. They're in scalular fourths. They're not in chromatic fourths. Okay, they're not in modal fourths. Although that's very close, and we do count. When I use my counting method, for instance, this counting method, these are modal scale members. Okay. So when we're on the 4 box, we go 4, 5, 6, 7. We're not going to go to the perfect fourth from the fourth of the fourth. And perfect fourth, as you can see, would be a 7 flat. So in the key of C, F would go to a B flat. Okay, so here we have now 6 strings, and in this particular case, okay, and then there's the fret nut. We can't get the 7, 3, 6, okay, that kind of thing. If we're on this 2 here, it's not going to warp over until it gets to the top 2 strings. So the build is going to look like this. Now, before I release this box from shape fit, this is just graphics shape fitting. This isn't pattern shape fitting. This is just fitting the, in the Andy's guitar charts. The chart. This is chart fitting. You see how I'm lining it up there? Make sure everything's lined up. So this column's lined up there. There. Now I'd set it in. Now we're looking at a fretboard build off the second. So this is why on the D pentatonic we get our 3, 5, 6 root, and then 2, 3 we don't play the fourth on a pentatonic. So that 2, now we're going to have to remove the capo if we're going to do that. If we're going to do a D build, let's say we're going to do it in the key of C, so it'd be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 root 2. Okay, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 root 2, 3, 4. Alright, so that's how that works with the pattern builds. Okay, we're back. So it's Saturday morning. I've got what's easy for me is all suddenly hard because I've already kind of taught it and everything. So now we know the difference between a P4 pattern stack and grabbing 6 strings on that pattern stack. That's why I made it this high. Now, there's no real special reason why it's this high. I usually do it so I can go 3 to 3, 6 to 6, 2 to 2, 5 to 5, 7 to 7, and then 3 to 3 again. But really, I wanted to be generous and give myself enough pattern so we can go up or down. The only difference is whatever 6 strings we're looking at, if we're looking at this 6 strings, or we're looking at this 6 strings, okay, notice it's the same pattern because it repeats. It's a 5-string pattern, C, A, G, E, D, and it repeats. So all you got to do is grab from, you know, from the same one to the same one if you want to get 6 easy. We're looking at any one of these 6 strings like this, and we're going to use it to make a modal scale. But we also want to go down that pattern. But what I started to say was that with the 6th string, between the 4th and the 5th, which is the G string and the B string, you have to move the pattern over 1/2 step because of the tuning third inherent in the guitar tuning, where we only have here the E string. We've got a 4th, a 4th, a 4th, and then a 3rd. So to maintain that root to 4, here's root, here's 4, above it is a perfect 3rd between those. So we just move the pattern up. So if we're going 7 root 2 and we want to go to 3, 4, 5, notice down here in the E box, 7 root 2 goes to 3, 4, 5, brick wall, 6, 7 root, brick wall, 2, 3, 4 right there. I call that my S4E right there. My S4E, because it's 4 strings and it starts on the E string shape. Okay, it's the easiest thing to play. It's half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Starting from E, B rather. We up here. I want to make sure you can see this. All day long. Never fails. The problem is if you start that 7 root 2 from the 3rd string, okay, so let's look at it. Why did I choose the 3rd string? Because we want to go up 4 strings, so we want to be able to play the whole pattern. So it's going to be 7 root 2 starting from the 3rd string, so I'll just find a B on the 3rd string. It's right here. It's going to be, but now I have to move up a half step for the, it's right here, 7 root 2 on the 3rd string, 7 root 2, 3, 4, 5 for the 6, 7 root, the G string shape, and the 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it would be, now coming down, I have to go the other way a half step. Now, when we're coming down, speaking about coming down, this was the original subject of this chart was playing patterns down. So we're at 2 root 7. Where do we go from there? We're going to go on the short build to 5, 6. It's so easy when you have the charts there. And then 4, 3, 2 is going to come out again. There's a tab here and there's a tab here, the 4 and the 7 tab. And then we just go 4, 3, 2. All right. And that I call my S3D. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 root 2. Now notice that if we leave the 7 and the 4 off, we're doing a pentatonic scale, then we have what I call the S3, stack of 3 short. I call it the S3, used to call it the S3S. Right there. Okay, those guys. So that's our little box. It's our little pentatonic box that starts on 2. You can play it down here. Whereas diatonically it would be adding the 4th. Okay, now what happens after that? Okay, look at the next 2 boxes up. Look at the 4 and look at the 7. They're within the structure of the long S2L.